It's Tuesday afternoon, and you know what that means. It's time for Randominity with the Random Christian Show. You can listen to us now on Good Pods. Check out Good Pods. What a great podcast app they are. Today on the Random Christian Show, we welcome Steve Miller Band guitarist and bassist Kenny Lee Lewis.
Yeah.
The Random Christian Show is proudly supported by The Advisor. The Advisor is a Facebook group created by Colonel James Neil Broadus, composed of wealthy talents such as actors, directors, artists, writers, and more. If you fall into this category, contact them on Facebook at The Advisor. Intro music provided by the Dead Campers. Check them out on Spotify at deadcampers.com. Next week on the Random Christian Show is John the TikTok chiropractor. With us as always is the voice in our heads, Matt. My name is Andy. Now here is your host, Christian Random.
Yeah, it's Tuesday. Yeah, baby. And
yeah,
apparently our TikTok chiropractor is gonna be cracking.
Yeah, I should have saved that for next week.
Yeah. See, and I didn't have the soundboard dialed up to the one of these. Yeah, that didn't even come through barely. All right, there we go. Welcome to the show. It is I, Christian Random. Thank you very much, Andrew, for bringing me in here to play around and have some fun. Very excited. Yeah, Kenny Lee Lewis, guitar. Well, actually, he's the bassist for Steve Miller Band. But man, I didn't go too deep, but I did do quick skims into his past, so I don't have like a list of questions, but I do have some very interesting things I want to talk about because this guy, like he did a lot of stuff for the modern electric guitar. He's worked with a lot of different people. BB King, hello.
Oh wow.
Boz Scaggs. Yeah, I know the kids don't really get some of this, but they should. We do have a young demographic that listens to the show and watches it. So maybe this will be great for them to go and tap into. Because
there you go.
If you haven't heard of BB King or Boz Scaggs, you are missing out. And he's worked on, dude. Okay. I'm just gonna save it for the show. Yeah, saving it for the show.
Yeah, no, gush on the guest.
Yeah, yes, but he is. He's done a lot, so it's going to be really cool to talk with him and find out some of these really cool things. How you been out there in the old Pacific Northwest there, Andrew?
Very wet still.
Ooh,
apparently it's supposed to be sunny now. So all of the Oregon people right now are putting up the meme of Chris Farley and his. For the love of God, please stop raining. So yeah, everybody's pretty sick of it. So yeah, it's just been wet. That's all.
Well, summer has finally appeared here in the greater Kansas City area, and it's 90 plus, and humidity is 1,000 plus something. Actually, it hasn't been too bad, but it is what it is. It's the Midwest summer, and it's getting beautiful. It's all green. Everything looks great. So can't complain except for the fact that, and you're going to see me do that a little bit throughout the show. I'm just going to explain right now, or you'll hear me go.
Okay. And why? Why? Because someone didn't listen to somebody? Is that why? Did somebody not actually listen to their doctor and not do what they were supposed to do and now is off work again? For a predetermined amount of time, or I'm just hypothetically throwing that out there. I mean,
hypothetically, yes, but I also apparently found out Sunday that I have shingles.
Awesome.
Yeah, dude. Just imagine your skin being on fire, but underneath the skin, so you can't do anything about it. You're not supposed to touch it. I mean, it's not contagious or anything.
Oh, man.
But, dude, I have a huge rash on my lower back. It's about this big, literally.
Oh, wow.
And,
everything's just turning up Millhouse for you, isn't it?
Stupid Millhouse. Damn boy. Get me out of here. But yeah, so I've it's not pleasant. I can just say that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and on top of that, I may have a fracture from falling over a month ago. I tripped and fell at the house.
Oh.
Just yeah, it was I wasn't paying attention, and so hopefully that is not the case and it's just this, but anyway. So there's
Wow.
my tale of sorrow. Yes.
Yeah.
Where
I am absolutely sorry all that is happening to you right now.
I need a board up. I really, really need a board up because that way I can.
This
There,
just
there
in,
we go.
internships available at The Random Christian Show. Please email Matt at therandomchristianshow.com if you're
Yeah.
interested to be an unpaid intern for our show.
Yes. So anyway, hey, now have you heard about all these secret menu item things on like
Well, let's
like
no, let's
Hardee's and
so let's go back here. So I get a call at, I think what, it was like 8 o'clock at night, which is 10 o'clock your time. Of
yeah.
hey dude, did you know about the secret menu at In-N-Out Burger? I'm like, this
Uh,
is like, I thought it was emergency. Like, I thought somebody fell and like couldn't get up. Like, hey, I need you to call, like, or I need you to, raise the white flags. I need you to light the fires of Gondor so we can get an army over here. No. Email or phone call late at night saying, do you know about the secret menus in In-N-Out? I lived in the Bay Area. Yes, I know about the In-N-Out secret menus.
well, okay. All right. See, my thing is
You've never heard of these.
Well, I was never big on being on the internet and stuff like that. It's the interweb, and back in the days, I used it for illicit purposes that I probably shouldn't have. But anyway, I've grown up and moved on. Um, and now I just look up a lot of really bad jokes and things like that. Or and now I've learned to discover that there are secret menu items on all these places, and it's really kind of intrigued me. I can say that.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Well, and
so
I always found it weird that In-N-Out's menu was so small, right?
yeah,
That you just go and you just see, single, double, add cheese, add onions if you want, get fries,
right.
get a shake, and
I mean,
that's
it's
it.
delicious.
No,
It's
absolutely. And then sure enough, I see somebody walk out with like a grilled cheese, right? And I'm like, that's not on the menu, right?
what?
But the one that blew my mind was the animal style fries.
Yeah. Okay.
That's like the cheese, the melted cheese and the bacon. And it's just like, oh man. Right. And then you can go protein style on the hamburger. They could just wrap it in a bunch of lettuce for you. Like, it's incredible. If you want to, dude, if you want to go down a very, very deep rabbit hole.
Oh,
just
we're
Google secret menus. And yeah, you'll, the Neapolitan shake is my favorite though. They mix all three flavors together.
okay.
The vanilla, the strawberry, and the chocolate.
Thanks for getting way ahead of the game here, but that's all right. So as Andy has
about the secret
explored,
menus. I'm telling you about the secret menus. I'm sorry
well,
if I ruined a bit. Did I ruin a bit? I think I ruined a bit.
Yeah, you kind of ruined the bit, but whatever. Okay, so since Andy already talked about it, there's In-N-Out right here, okay? And they've got all these one which totally blew me away, which I don't know why I've never even thought of this actually, but they were frying the hamburgers in mustard. Hello.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord, have mercy. I mean, I was telling my wife, and I'm asking Andy about this because I couldn't get a hold of Matt, who is truly my food aficionado. But he ignores me a lot because I call him with random things like this and go, Matt, did you know about this? And he's like, yeah, everybody knows, Chris, you just don't. So anyway, and so yeah, there's chopped chilies you can add. Yeah, the animal style burger. The Flying Dutchman. Now, what the hell is that? What is the Flying Dutchman? See.
Oh yeah, so that is the two patties and then the stuff or cheese in between it, I think.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
See?
that's what that is. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, my big thing was when I went to California. Oh my God, we're going to In-N-Out for a double fries and a chocolate shake. No, now
Yeah.
Neapolitan shakes. Hello, what? I
Right.
mean, my God. Anyway, yeah, I know Andy already went
Well,
over all this,
well,
but
no, and the funniest thing I thought about our conversation too was, is that you guys don't have ice cream, right? Just a
right,
right, and then
well,
but then you said, well, if we're at In-N-Out, then it's fine.
it's
I
like
guess
Vegas.
right, what happens at In-N-Out stays at In-N-Out
Stays it
apparently.
In-N-Out,
So
yeah,
okay, all right. So I think
or
we need to
in
make shirts.
it's a new marketing strategy for In-N-Out.
Right, well,
Um,
yeah, probably not the best.
okay, so and then all right, let's see here. What's another? Okay, let's go to Dairy Queen. Um, Dairy Queen, they've got okay,
I
a
mean, you can't
chocolate
see
chip
pictures.
blizzard.
That's a bummer.
Now that is a bummer.
Yeah.
Peanut butter. Yeah, well, I mean, it's all
Yeah, see, I think pictures or it didn't happen, you know.
yeah, yeah. I good to see it, baby.
Right.
Another good one to try here. Five Guys, I can't imagine what they wouldn't have because they've got tons of stuff on their menu. So now
Right.
I'm kind of intrigued with their secret. A patty melt. Well, that's, I mean, okay.
Well, yeah, well, like why
Double
wouldn't you just
grilled cheeseburger? No.
oh, right.
Well done fries, cheese fries. Oh, they discontinued the cheese fries. Well, it's because those burgers give you a heart attack anyway. So, but this double grilled cheeseburger, I'm kind of intrigued. Oh, I don't code. I want. Lord. Fine. No picture. Moving on. Okay. So anyway, there are tons of these out there. Apparently, all these different places that you saw just a second ago. Yeah, DQ, Five Guys, In-N-Out, obviously. Oh my Lord, Jack in the Box, Jamba Juice. I've never been a fan of. Chipotle, Chick-fil-A, Carl's Jr. I was actually part of a panel that helped bring Carl's Jr. now Hardee's out on the Midwest and East out
Oh,
to
really?
this area. Yeah, I was
Oh, wow.
sampled, and they were like, "Would you be interested?" I'm like, hell yeah!"
Right.
And so,
Okay.
the Burger King, Arby's. Anyway, all these places have their little secret secret menu items and things like that. And so me and Andy did a little digging, and I'm gonna say here. Okay, now I got to make it stop sharing screen. Again, not very technologically advanced. I apologize. Okay, so with our okay, now I'm trying to make things work on here. Okay, now really need a board up. Anybody who's got those skills, please contact the Random Christian Show at gmail.com. Where's our intro music? Oh, there it is. Thanks for filling in the dead air. Oh,
No, hey, you're doing
there
great.
it is.
Doing great, Chris.
Yeah, I'm doing
great.
awesome. So now we're moving on to our random 9 list. That's right. Our random 9 items that are secret in your favorite stores and restaurants. So yeah, we did a bunch of research, checking all these
Okay.
out. And
All right. So you didn't send me that update. I worked off the original one.
oh, did you?
Yeah.
I actually did. But okay. So now we have the random 5 list
Yes.
of secret items in your favorite stores and restaurants. But anyway, we'll just keep moving on. And so with that in mind, and the brakes come squealing to a stop.
Well, hey, at least this will get us back on track time wise. So there we go.
There we go. All right. So at well, we'll just call it number 5. Number 5, McDonald's. Everything at McDonald's is made from the same thing. Everything is made
I
from
could
the
buy
same
that.
thing.
I could absolutely buy that.
It's kind of off of the old Steve Martin bit.
Oh, right. That's right.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Cheeseburger. There's just
yeah,
a big
cheeseburger,
machine in the
cheeseburger.
back. And then yeah.
Yep.
Now number 4, items that are secret in your favorite stores and restaurants. Victoria's Secret. There are security cameras everywhere. Everywhere. Like you didn't know. Like you didn't know. Because pretty sure whoever owns Victoria's Secret is some big perv. Number 3 of the items that are secret in your favorite stores and restaurants. Let's see. Where is it at? The local petting zoo. Oh, now I'll bet you didn't know this, huh? This is actually kind of sad. It's those are just lonely people dressed up as animals that want attention.
I would just hate to see the after camera after everybody goes home, just somebody taking off their little hat, and like sad music playing underneath it. Just two hobos just sitting out there taking off their llama uniform. Right. Oh.
Let's see. Number 3, Disneyland or Disney World. It doesn't really actually exist. Yeah, I know. Y'all thought you were going to this wonderful fantasy land. It's actually the stamp that they give you when you're going in the gate. It's a very strong hallucinogen, and they just mess with your brain the entire time while you're stacked into a warehouse full of other people.
Oh, I could absolutely buy that. I could totally buy that too. Yeah. You're just like stuck in a chair having this vivid, lucid dream. And all the time, people are just running your credit card for the different things that you're going through.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, it's it is. It's horrible because if you've ever been to Disneyland or Disney World, it's a pretty tangible experience like that. And I've done some hallucinogens, so I know these things.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Where's my drum roll for number 1? Number 1 item that are secret in your favorite stores and restaurants. And Andy, I think you know where I'm going with this, even though you didn't follow and play the game. Number 1 is Carl's Jr. or Hardee's. They got bathroom cookies.
Hey,
what's
that's
up?
right.
There's too much of a delay on the start of the music. All right, there it is. Yay! Our top 5 random 9 things that should have happened in your favorite stores and restaurants. There it is. But you know what? We're not going to keep secrets from you any longer because
no more.
we got some good stuff coming up. You know what it is? It's a guy that plays bass and he plays guitar. And he's wandering away.
That's okay.
I'm waiting for him to come back.
Oh, I think he's making the background a little more putting the guitar front and center.
So
there he is.
There he is. So ladies and gentlemen, it's perfect timing. Allow me to introduce to you Mr. Kenny Lee Lewis. Hey-o. That was perfect timing, Kenny.
Well, after looking at my backdrop here when we were doing our test stuff before we had me come on, I ran around the back, put some lights on, put a Jimi Hendrix album cover back there. More festive, you know.
Trying to make it a little more rock and roll-ish, I guess, right?
I mean, you know, why not? I mean, we're on this really great, clever device, this app device, whatever it is for Restream, and we're taking advantage, spewing our wonderful vibes all over the world right now. We might as well do it with color.
Yeah, dude.
Having it be so drab.
There you go. Now you're in your little your home studio, correct?
Which would look like a warehouse a minute ago. I just moved everything out of the way. I've been out all week, so I haven't really been home a lot to tidy up and make it all nice and groovy in here. So
I got you. Hey, I was just trying to sell the vibe, man. Just trying to sell the vibe.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule, man. I know you are you're kind of all over the place, aren't you?
Well, right now, I mean, we went on for 2 years. I mean, it was Humbug City around here. So now I'm getting back out on the road, getting my feet wet, and starting to bring the Steve Miller Band catalog to the world, along with Mr. Miller, And in addition to that, before all that came down, we were doing a lot of live gigs around here locally as venues started to open up. So I'm kind of stuck between two worlds right now. I've got local gigs, and then I've got these really fantastical big gigs, which are, of course, are not really a part of reality. They're just a lotto ticket you win sometimes, and you get to go out and cash it. But most of the time, we have to stay home and play for the local gentry and be glad we have the place to play.
Yeah, man. No, that's beautiful. I mean, you kind of, you go do something that you enjoy, but it more pays the bills. But then you get to do the fun, more personal gigs that, are really, the heart of what you're doing. Correct?
Yeah, we're just sharing our gift. That's it.
Dude, that's awesome. That is so great. Okay, so now let's we got so many different ways we could start this. Let's go back to the basic. We've been advertising. You're the bassist for the Steve Miller Band. Now you started with him on a little later in his career. What was it, about 1980 or something like that, I think?
1981 is when I met him. It was actually in the fall of 81. He was looking for material for an album, which at that time was unnamed. And I had a bunch of songs that were being worked on with Gary Malaber, the drummer that played on most of his hits. He and I had a band together, and we were co-writers. And so we submitted some songs to him, thinking he might do one or two. And we had 8 total, and he ended up taking all 8. So we didn't have a band. We didn't have any material.
Oh, no.
Now Steve owns my ass, I met the guy, and he gave me a call one day, and he said, "Look, I'm working on this these tracks, and you played bass and guitar on all these," because he took our masters and he made that the Abracadabra album, which is crazy.
Oh, wow.
He just transferred them over to 24 track, kept going. So I was already on bass and guitar on all those demos of our own. And so when he transferred them, I'm already on all these tracks. So within a couple hours, I was on a Steve Miller album as a player. So that was interesting. So he called, and then he invited me to come down and help him produce the record, which of course, at that time, we did not have a song called Abracadabra yet. And so I was just helping him produce the tracks that we had done. And in the meantime, I was a top, double scale studio bass player in town. And that's what I was doing as a career at the time that he called.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And then from there, you're like, well, we're just with it now. This is it.
Right. We made the record. It became a big hit. And then 82, we went out to support it in Europe. And that's when he asked me to join the band.
And he said, yeah, this is, and I mean, dude, like I said, I'm not allowed to do a deep dive into people's backgrounds because I tend to get lost in things. And there's an episode you can watch where you'll see why. But I've done a lot. And now you're a California native. You grew up in a musical family. I see that. And
my dad was an enthusiast. He did play a few instruments, but he was never professional. His mother was a silent movie actress, and she eventually becoming an instructor on, of all things, Hawaiian lap steel slide guitar.
Wow.
And vocals. And so she was a music teacher throughout the 40s and 50s. And even though I only got 1 or 2 of the lessons from her, she was the only one in the family that actually pursued entertainment.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. All right. Okay. So, but yeah, now, so you picked up, and now are you just basically guitars, or do you play drums too, keyboards, any of that? Or you?
I can program bass. I can program the basics of drumming. I mean, drum beats, and then I've done live gigs on drums. I mean, I'm not the greatest drummer.
Wow.
It's only because I don't really put a lot of time into it. I probably could. I played with the best. I know what it takes to be a good drummer. And so that's something that I just haven't really put a lot of time into. So that's, pretty much just bass and guitar, but all the fretted instruments. I mean, mandolin and banjo and slide.
Oh, wow.
And dobro and you name it. Anything's got frets. I play it.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm asking all these questions, Andy is a very big guitar. He loves the guitar. Matt loves bass and guitar. I'm more percussion, as I play a little bit of bass, but mostly percussion.
Right.
So just curious about all your dwellings with the musical instruments, as we say.
Now, if you had your choice to play guitar or bass in a band, what would you rather play?
It's interesting you asked that question. I've done both all throughout my career, and
Right.
it depends on the book and the catalog.
Sure.
With
Yeah.
Miller, I enjoyed playing guitar with him. I had a great time. He gave me a lot of solos and stuff. But really, I enjoy playing bass on his gig,
Yeah.
mainly because you're in the Boz Scaggs seat when you're the second guitar player.
Dude.
Right.
Yeah.
Steve. And that's really all Steve really knows how to do really well, is as a player, that is just play blues guitar.
Right.
Yeah.
Playing blues guitar next to him, he wants you to be a clone of him if he was playing guitar. So he teaches you all the parts, and it's like sometimes you feel like you're a little pigeonholed and you'd like to do your own thing, but I understand he wants it layered the way that he composed the records and stuff. But on bass, he's not a bass player, so he just sort of lets me do whatever I want to do. So it's a very, very free feeling playing bass with Steve, and he really enjoys me being creative and random, just like you, Christian Random.
Yay! That's all ties in together here. Now playing bass, because I love the fact bass is very much like a percussion instrument. It's really the backbone of all the music, and especially in a rock band. So I fully appreciate the bass playing. Do you love more like a funky style, or with slapping and popping, or do you just like to cruise in a little jazz groove? You seem to be a meld of a lot of different styles all into one. So because I'm guilty, I was listening earlier to a bunch of Steve Miller stuff that you were on, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was just really cool the way, and I'm not taking anything away from you, but the way Steve Miller writes his music, I think is a great, it's just it's open, there's no set style to it. And, but then like I was listening to the Abracadabra album, and I was listening on there, and I'm not sure which songs you did, but I was just like, this is just cool. It's so, it's open, it's got these different styles all melded together. So is that just kind of how you go? Do you just kind of pick something up and you're like, no, I'm going to go this way or whatever?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I was a studio bass player at the time that I met him, and at that time, I had to learn how to play every style. I met him right at the tail end of R&B disco era, and it was just starting to hit new age, and so it was a transition going from real specific bass parts that were written out. I mean, I was playing movie soundtracks and hamburger commercials, and like international records and a lot of artists and stuff. So I had to play a lot of different styles. So I wasn't just playing one particular style. And then I learned how to play upright string bass too, because I had to do that as well. Whatever that for it. That wasn't my specialty, but I did learn how to do it, and I did play on a couple records on upright in those days. And so the only thing I didn't do was orchestral. I never did orchestra on upright. I played big band on upright in college, but I never did orchestral. And that's one of my goals, actually, is to woodshed a bunch and get into an orchestra playing upright string bass, arco and all. In the twilight of my years, like that. But right now, I'm still playing electric with the Steve Miller Band, so I'm out there still playing rock and roll for the money.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Well, hey, you got to make money. Got to pay the bills, brother. But again, like I said earlier, it's still something that you enjoy and you've got passion for. So it's an easy way to cash in.
Steve's catalog is undeniably an American pastime. So it's more than just the money. I mean, it's well paying only because the catalog is so good, and we support and support. What we do is we take the catalog and we bring it to America every year, because the catalog stands on its own. Even if Steve wasn't singing the songs, they'd still be a good song. He just happens to have a really great voice that fits with that style, So he's really fortunate to be in a Steve Miller tribute band and as the lead singer. It happens to be Steve Miller. Hey,
Hey,
that's kind of. I mean, classic rock acts, all of them right now. When we go out, I mean, you got to play the hits. There's really a lot of room for new material.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, that's everybody expects it, but then I mean, do you guys slip in some off the hits stuff, and you're like, hey, by the way, we did this.
When we want merch and we want to sell some T-shirts and some beer, we put those in the set. because get up and walk out when we do those songs.
All right. So I was also looking on here. Now you okay, yes. Again, you were a session studio bass player. Man, you've worked with some amazing people, dude. BB King, hello.
Yeah.
How was that? Well, Boz Scaggs, like you said, which is, I mean, he's one of my absolute favorites, dude.
Yep.
Quincy Jones, shit, dude. Steven Stills, Meatloaf, Dave Mason. I mean, a lot of people, like, oh, Dave Mason. Yeah, he actually had quite a few, some really good stuff out there. Billy Preston. I mean, damn, dude. Now, did you get a little awestruck working with some of these people or anything like that? Or, I mean, were you just like, I'm in here for the gig and I got to go?
Well, Billy Preston was a big high for me because not only was, of course, he the fifth Beatle, but he also had his own hits. And so when he came to my band that I had at the time, was called Pieces, we had come out with a record on Capitol, and it was around 1979. And that's right just before New Age hit, and we were R&B, Blue-Eyed Soul, and they just kind of washed out all the Hall & Oates and Michael McDonald and Pablo Cruz and Bobby Caldwell kind of music. That all kind of went away. It's all of a sudden, it's like now you had Thin Ties, and you were playing, my Sharona, you're playing all stuff, and it's like that kind of went by the wayside. So our record never hit. But in Europe, they were still listening to R&B and disco, and we were asked to be a rhythm section on quite a few records with a songwriting team by the name of Galen Sinogles and Ralph Benatar. I was going to Pat Benatar. Ralph Benatar out of Belgium. So through Belgium, we were able to do more R&B and disco kind of dance music through Europe, and got really good at that. And we even had a #1 hit record at one time in the disco dance category of Billboard. It was called All My Lovin', and it was called LAX was the name of the band, just like the airport. You can look on YouTube, all your lovin', or All My Lovin', LAX. And so anyway, he heard some of these, and then that's when he came to us and asked us to produce his, at that time, new record. I can't remember the name of the record. It slips my mind, but it came out about 1980, I'm thinking. Something like that, 79, 80. And it was just fantastic. And one of our members of our band co-wrote a song called Thanks, but No Thanks. You can look that up on YouTube. Based on that. And and man, I mean, to work with him was just amazing, because not only was he iconic and somebody that I looked up to, but he would look up to us for guidance, and also to just allow us to come into his music and allow us to add whatever we had to augment his already great talent. So he was very open-minded for all that. And so that was really a great experience.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Dude, that's just so, okay. So was that, okay. Now you were working, with David Schechter, right?
That was a long time before that. I mean, I met Dave in '74 when I was working at a guitar amplifier corporation, which was sort of an experimental amp company called Delta. And not the Labs, but just Delta, with an all tube, really weird guitar amp.
Right.
We, had a good design. It was an interesting concept, very ahead of its time. But the amps didn't fly, and we were getting to the end of our tenure with the investors. And all of a sudden, one day, this guy walks in from the desert, and he has this Stratocaster pickguard that has pickups already in it, knobs and switches that are all hand wired. It looks like real military, all handmade. And it was a drop-in assembly for a then current Stratocaster, which at the time, CBS Fender and all the from 73 on, I mean, they were just awful, didn't sound good. And so he invented this drop-in assembly, and his name was Dave Schechter. And he walked in, and the guys that worked at that Delta company just glommed onto him and said, you got really something great here. Let's start making these pickups and making these drop-in assemblies. And then they took me off the line as quality control manager and said, why don't you work with Dave, make these pickups, and start putting these things out. We'll see if we can sell these. And we did that. He and I went into an M1 shop. We were hand wiring these pickups with a Cox slot car controller.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
and it would change the speed of the motor. And we had a big ball of cotton in the other hand, and we just made these bobbins by hand with this slot car controller and a big wad of cotton. We do that all day long. You talk about like, meh, you know,
right.
Lunch we'd make on the Bunsen burner over in the corner, but it's an interesting thing. And then eventually, Dave and I started coming up with other stuff. Of course, he was an incredible inventor, and you know, we started buying woods, and we got into the parts business. Yeah. And the partners who were Shell Horlick and Herschel Blankenship at that time, we turned that company into the very first guitar parts companies. This is way before Boogie.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, and you know, all that stuff. So we invented the parts business. Then eventually we started making whole guitars. And when I met Steve and I went on the road with him in '82 on the Abracadabra tour, the orange guitar you see in all those videos on YouTube is a handmade special Strat Telly that Dave made for me specifically.
Oh, wow.
And so that was one of the very first whole guitars we made. And then we just going and going. Eventually, I got busy making records and writing songs, and I couldn't be in the shop that much. And so I trained a guy to take my place. His name was Tom Anderson. He took my place, and then he went on to work with Dave, and then eventually invented his own company called Tom Anderson Guitars, which anybody in the professional business knows that that's one of the more happening, boutique companies to this day.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So okay.
Of that.
And now, okay, so were you always naturally like, into like messing around with that kind of stuff? Being a musician, like Eddie Van Halen, he would take his guitar apart and mess with his pickups. And I mean, he was known for that. That's how he got that sound that he ended up creating. Yep. Now, did you do this, the same thing? You just sit there, you're like, I'm going to get rid of this pickup, put this pickup in or whatever. And
Yep, I made a super heterodyne tube radio in school. I want to say it was 7th or 8th grade or something like that. And I just was so fascinated with the whole process that I started taking my stuff apart and started figuring out how to repair it. And then eventually I got a job at a guitar store, and that's when I learned how to become a luthier. And I just brought the electronics with me onto that thing. So I became a luthier and an amp repairman by the time I was 17 years old.
Wow, dude.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. So you're like a mad scientist.
And so it was just something I just loved doing. It wasn't like, when you talk to Les Paul, if you ever had the chance to hear his interviews, he was the same way. He was taking his mom's gramophone apart when he was a kid and trying to figure out the parts. And then he took a pickup off of the needle and put it onto his bridge of his guitar, and he invented the first contact piezo guitar pickup. And of course, he invented the first solid body electric guitar. Just all that stuff. So he was just doing it, tinkering around because he was ADD and he was curious.
Right. Yeah.
And instead of going out and getting stoned, he did that. That's the downfall of some of us musicians.
Les goes back to the 1920s, so he was probably drinking. He loved his whiskey. I used to hang out with Les at 3 a.m, and all he'd do is just drink whiskey.
Oh wow! Oh my gosh, the conversations you guys.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall on that convo.
Yeah.
When did you first pick up a guitar, though?
My brothers, I was about 7 or 8 years old, and he was getting all the attention with my sister. They were folkies, and they used to perform for our family for like family functions. They would do like Mamas and the Papas, and Dylan songs, and the Brothers Four, and the Kingston Trio, and Ian and Sylvia, and all these folky tunes. And I was too small to get my hand around the guitar. My brother had this Sears Silvertone nylon string guitar that had a neck like a baseball bat, and I couldn't get my hands around it. So eventually, I was over in the corner just sulking, not getting anything. I was the youngest, of course, and actually found out my aunt Dolores in Berkeley, California. She had an old Martin ukulele left over from the 1920s when she was. Wow. And it was up in her closet, and I kept bugging her for it every time I go over to her house. And finally, she just said, "Okay, well, you can play it." And she pulled it out, and this went on for months. And then eventually, I begged her to take it home, and I promised her I'd bring it back. Of course, she never got it back. And so I ended up playing ukulele at around 7 or 8 years old. I bought a book, started teaching myself, and then I just started performing for the family on ukulele.
Oh, that's great. I learned on a similar nylon string guitar. It was an Orpheus, nylon string guitar, and the neck was massive. And I started around the same time, around 8, and it was just so hard to get around it. But every guitar since playing that guitar has been the easiest guitar to play.
Well, the guitar I was describing to you, it's in my bedroom right now, and I use it when I'm doing charts and I need to work out a part. I just pick it. It was my brother's guitar.
I still have mine as well.
Bucks, it doesn't have any truss rod in it, and that's why the neck has to be so big, because there's no truss rod to keep it
right.
But it's it sounds pretty good. It's plywood, it's cheap as hell, but because it's aged and it's never been totally abused, it sounds pretty good. It's pretty funny, but I get my hand around it. So eventually, after I goofed around, with clarinet and, 4th, 5th grade, around the 6th grade, my hand was well developed enough to where I could get my hand around it. So then I started learning his books, which were, of course, Pretty Parle Mary and, Take a Stick of Bamboo and, Puff the Nut. And then all of a sudden, boom, 1965 hits. Or 64, I guess, 65, 64. And that's when the English invasion happened. And that's when I first started really paying attention to electric guitar. Because they had electric guitar prior to that. And of course, a lot of hit records had electric guitar. But it wasn't the same. The English invasion sounding guitars were different than the American electric sounding guitar tracks. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah.
So when the English invasion happened and I heard those guitar tones, it freaked me out. And this is before Hendrix and Cream. I'm just talking about the Kinks and the Byrds and the Yardbirds.
Oh, yeah.
The Yardbirds, Dave Clark 5, that, and then, of course the Beatles, but their guitar tones were more like the Beach Boys. They're kind of clean, they weren't really distorted or anything. And they hadn't invented the fuzz tone yet. So when all that came out, I just went nuts, so.
Yeah. And I was going to say you just totally answered a question I've been trying to figure out for years. Why there was, it was literally very similar styles of music, but they had a very distinct sound. And it was the guitars, the way, especially the Kinks. The Kinks are famous for just developing that really sound, but yet there was something clean about it. And the way they put it together, the Davies brothers, it was just, it's like, wow.
Well,
and
they hadn't invented distortion pedals or fuzz boxes yet.
Right.
Taking their small amps and turning them up. And that's kind of the way B.B. King's sound was when he first started, is that he couldn't afford a twin reverb amp. He just had like a little tweed thing. And in order to be heard in the roller rinks and the little theaters he was playing, he used to have to crank it all the way up. And when he did that with those humbuckings that were on that Lucille 335, oh my God, he was getting this great sound, that was the saxophone kind of sound. And that's what Clapton and and everybody else picked up on, was that sound. Albert King, B.B. King, Freddie King, they had powerful Gibson guitars through small cheap Fender amps that were turned way up, and it had nothing to do with distortion pedals. It was just the sound of the tube amp being saturated, and that's still the greatest sound.
Oh, dude. And it's so funny because there's so, especially with the more techno rockers and stuff, they go with that everybody wants the tubes now, the old tube amps, to get that rich sound that you can get. It's like keyboardists want the old Hammonds, because those, dude, the only way to describe it is listen to Green Onions by Booker T and the MGs. You'll understand why a Hammond organ is so key.
Right.
It's just a unique individual sound that you can only get from one of those.
Yeah.
Same thing. Wow. Oh my God, I'm geeking out. This is cool.
And of course, Steve Cropper, who played guitar on that, he was playing through a small Fender amp. They cranked it, and that's how he gets that really nasty sound.
Yeah. Wow.
And you remember, you interviewed my wife Diane, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Probably talked to you about the fact that her uncle played bass and co-wrote that song.
No, I don't.
Yeah, we did not cover that.
Because that's like one of my all-time favoriteest ever songs.
That was Diane's uncle. He was the bass player on that, and he co-wrote the song.
Oh, wow.
Okay, we'll tell her we're mad at her now.
Oh,
right.
Hey, all right, Kenny, give us just about 60 seconds here. We're going to do a quick little commercial, beg for somebody to sponsor us kind of second here.
Yeah, you got funeral home, I understand.
we're just trying to pay our bills, man. But yeah, we're just gonna step aside for a second. I'm going to beg and plead for somebody to sponsor the show, and then I'll bring you right back in. Is that cool? Right on, dude. All right, we'll put you off here for a second. And Andy, here, why don't you just hang with me? You can be my backup. You're my support.
Okay. Gotcha.
So yeah, here at the Random Christian Show, we're just
I was waiting.
For one, Andy needs a beautician. But yeah, we are looking to help basically promote your product and put you guys out here. We're reaching all across the internet. We're pretty big in France, according to our statistics. And but yeah, we are very big in the US. We're the top 20. We're one of the top 20 independent comedy interview shows out there. And we want to help not only bring our show, because we get a lot of compliments on the show, and obviously there's a lot of you out there that do like the show. So let's help get this out there a little bit more. And we want you to, here, let me show you something here, because I've mentioned it before. PJ's Coffee. That's right. PJ's Coffee of New Orleans. This could be you if you sponsored us, but it's not. So we're taking it away.
Still, yeah, not a single dollar.
Not a single dollar, but we're working on it. Or, of course, an internet-based business, Muddy River Tactical. You could be also, but you're not, because we haven't seen a dime. So what we want to do is, and we're just stating facts.
Right. No, keeping it real.
We're not afraid. And, internet-based businesses, I think, would be really best. But I'm also really big on anybody in Kansas City that's local here. We'd love to. I'll even come and do a live little video out there with you, and we'll put it on here, and we'll show everybody who you are and what you got going on. So if you can, go over to not your phone, go over to your keyboard, type in the Random Christian Show at gmail.com. And it's Christian with a K, if you haven't figured that out already. You can see right down here where it says Christian Random on my name. But yeah, and you could have a little fantastic, and Andy works wonders with these little graphics right here. He is a genius with those. And like I said, we'll do some live stuff and bring you all in here, and let's get you out there and make you big. And in turn, you'll help get us a little bit more out there and bring a little joy to the
together.
World. Let's all grow together. Let's all grow together. So anyway, there we go. Hey-o. And so anyway, that's it. So join us and help sponsor the show and bring us all together. All right, cool. All right, now that's it. We're done. We're back. And Kenny's back. Hello. Hey-o. All right. Where's the applause button? See?
You guys, virtual tip jar or something, like over on the side, you could show numbers, kind of like the Jerry Lewis telethon,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
There. Now the button triggers.
For just 5 cents a day, you can sponsor Christian Random and make sure that his shingles go away and his hip is redone correctly.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you do see me wince, that's what's going on. It's not that you've said anything awkward or anything. I just, because it's like getting stabbed with a cattle prod that's on fire and full of napalm onto my leg. So anyway, welcome back, Kenny, and we're glad to have you here. Kenny Lee Lewis, bassist for the Steve Miller Band and studio musician extraordinaire, inventor of the guitar, apparently, and all sorts of. Well, okay, he helped improve the guitar.
I was participating and helped the guitar parts industry get started. How's that?
There you go. There we go. That sounds fair. We'll go with it, even though you're being humble, and we know there wouldn't be rock and roll without you. So, so anyway, okay, where were we at? We were talking about all your session work. Now you, which I find absolutely amazing because I love this kind of stuff. You've done a lot of musical scores, or you worked with musical scores, correct?
Musical scores.
Like Iron Eagle.
You're talking motion pictures.
Yes.
Well, okay, I'm sorry. Yes, not musicals. Musical scores of movies.
Right. Motion picture underscoring.
There you go.
I was fortunate enough to start working for Bill Conti. Met him through Allie Willis, a really great writer. She was working on Rocky III, trying to write the theme for that. And we were in the studio with her and Bill, and they were trying to come up with this theme song. This was before they picked Survivor from Scotty Brothers Record to do the first, the theme song. So in the meantime, while I met Bill, he, loved my bass playing. He loved the drummer too, a guy named Craig Krampf with a K. Really good. He used to be in a band called the Robs out of Cherokee Studios in LA. Really good. Kind of the closest drummer I've ever met that's was like John Bonham from Led Zeppelin,
Oh, dude.
Wow.
And then a really good guitar player. I can't remember his name, but anyway, he hired us to do a bunch of the cues for Rocky III because he wanted some really hard metal type of stuff for the working out scenes, when they're iron and all that stuff. And so we did a bunch of those cues. That was really nice. Also, I played on a lot of songs that either I co-wrote or other people wrote that went into the soundtracks. Now, that's a little different than the underscoring. Soundtracks are songs, that are in movies. And, those are, movies like Spring Break and Protocol. And I had a song in Iron Eagle. I had a song in, I'm trying to remember all the movies. But anyway, Taps. And, there were some movies that were kind of well known throughout the 70s and 80s that I had songs in that either I played on only or I co-wrote and played the instruments on. So, I was involved in some of that. I mean, other people probably more than me, other studio musicians, but I was able to get in on that. And it was a fascinating thing. The Bill Conti one with Rocky was the most fascinating because we were at the RCA Studios. They had the big screen lit up. They had the scene. Mike Lang was on piano playing the real soft romantic stuff. And then he would switch to a thing and they would conduct us. And we'd go right to the sync track to the movie while we were playing in real time. It was really fascinating. I just loved that.
Yeah, so I was going to say, so you got to be in there where the screen was, and you time yourself with the music kind of and everything, or with the movie. I'm sorry.
And also, I did a Japanese animated series called Ultraman that was very popular in Japan, and that was a full orchestra, like 30, 40 pieces. We were at Rusk Studios, and the conductor counted off. We'd have our music in front of us, and it was full orchestra. This is before samples and all that, and so. Play perfectly in one take reading notation, and that was the thing. I learned notation in college, reading notes on scale,
right.
Yeah,
you had to play it perfect. Even if there was a solo, you had to play it in one take.
Oh God. No pressure.
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy because the studio was expensive. You had all these musicians on hourly. You had to go from one piece to the next piece to the next piece. You had to just keep moving, and that was fascinating.
So did they have like some guy with a samurai sword? You get it right or you die. And you're like, okay, I got it, man.
You call back if you messed up, and they had to re-record it. Because every time you re-record something, if you were the guy that made the clam, everybody in the place was going. Because they just wanted.
Oh, who's that stink bomb?
And he's clam right in the middle of it,
Oh, Lord.
You become a pro real quick.
Ultraman, dude, that was like one of my favorite shows back in the day, dude.
Oh my
God, that's crazy. I was like, in fact, they're supposed to be bringing that back, aren't they, Nerd Boy Andy?
Yes, they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
See? Is that Diane?
No. Who? Where?
Oh no, I was asking you.
I was looking over here for my Ultraman action figure, and I don't see it because I'm in the studio, so I don't know where.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had one, but anyway.
So yeah, that is so cool, and we've talked about this on other shows and whatnot. We're all kind of nerds with this kind of stuff. Like we're the guys who would like grab albums and look at who produced it, and who did what, and like there's different musicians brought in, things like that. Or even with movies, we do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And a long time ago, I think Star Wars was the big kicker for me. But I grew up with a very musical oriented family. My sisters all sang, and my mom was in Sweet Adeline. So I always really, I liked hearing, the musical scores of movies. Yep. And again, Star Wars really triggered it for me. I was like, oh my gosh, I'd listen to that album over and over again. But then I started really getting into who produced, who did what. And I love seeing like session, guitarists like you that would be on different albums. You go, oh, hey, did you know he was on this and he's also on this? And so I always loved that. And like Stuart Copeland, who is like one of my all-time favorite musicians, he does work with the Seattle Symphonic, or he did. He worked with them for quite a while. He's done musical scores for Rumblefish. Now, do you have any aspirations of doing anything like that? Like where you actually write the whole musical score of a movie or anything like that?
It's funny you mentioned that because I just got asked to do that this week. I don't get a lot of calls for that, but I have done a little bit of that. Mostly it's just like small rhythm section cues and or songs, but to do full orchestration, I have not done a lot of that. A couple of very close friends of mine have, and I played those, but I did not compose it. But I just got a call to do like a B movie, all the underscoring. It's going to be kind of like a Kill Bill kind of a thing. So it probably won't be full orchestration. It's going to be more sound effects, a lot of drums. There might be some cues that might be a little more full orchestra, but not a dramatic motion picture. I've never done that. I've never composed that.
Well, but it's still just you know, the music like Rumblefish wasn't an orchestration. It was more just the crazy stuff that comes out of Stewart's head. You know, I mean, he used a typewriter for a percussion instrument, for God's sakes. It's
mostly good things. My friend Dennis Hannigan was a composer for Rugrats, and I did those cues. We also did Cat Dog, Beekman's World, Recess. He did a bunch of animated shows that were very big, and I got to play guitar and some bass on quite a few of those. But,
that's cool.
And I would help him kind of write it. You know, he would say, "Well, come up with something here," you know. And of course, he got all the writers, which was fine. I was getting paid, you know. But I mean, that's what you do. You work with producers, and if you're on an hourly or you agreed to pay for if you agreed to play for a certain amount of hours for a certain amount of money, you're not trying to get in on his writers because that's money, mailbox money. So unless you're writing a melody and something that's specific, that's really important, or lyrics, you're probably not going to get any writers if you're on a date for either movie soundtrack or television scoring.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But, and see, that's the thing too. Like I do voiceover work and stuff. I don't need to know that my name's out there. I just like, and I'm kind of picky because I can be in a way, which I probably shouldn't be, but like I pick stuff that's fun, you know, and I pick stuff that I like to, I make my little voices with, or, you know, whatever. And so, I enjoy doing that kind of stuff, and I'm sure you're doing the same thing. You know, you're like, no, I'll do this. This is cool. You know, and you throw your own little take in on it. I mean, or are you just like, no, give it to me. I'll take it all, whatever.
Yeah, you got to do all the facets of the music business, not just playing too. I mean, you got to sell instruments, you got to invent instruments, you got to train on the instruments, you got to teach the techniques on bass guitar, singing. I'm on Skiller right now as a vocal instructor. I mean,
there you go.
Everything, you know. And I even did retail. I worked at Guitar Center as an artist relations sales manager from 2001 to 2008.
Wow.
You know. Like, you know, I mean, you do everything. If you don't, you won't survive in this business.
Yeah.
There's not enough consistent income to put kids through college and buy a night for your mom.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No, I know that. Trust me, especially in my industry with the voiceover and stuff like that. When the pandemic hit, all of a sudden everybody was a voiceover artist, and I just got drowned out because everybody was willing to do things for like $5 or $10.
Everybody went in.
Yeah, they went to Best Buy and got a little blue dot microphone, and I can do this in my closet. Yeah, okay, well, and then people be like, well, listen, I don't want to pay you $150 to do this. Well, you're going to get what you get, you know. And
voiceovers, I've done them all. You know, my wife too. She just got through doing some voiceovers a couple months ago. So got paid.
Nice. Yeah, hey, that's right. Getting paid. Boom. So all right now, and like we said, you are like kind of all over the place right now. You've got your band that you're working with locally, correct?
Which band?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. What's the name of the band that you're working with locally?
Oh, I got a whole bunch of them. Indeed. I got a Latin jazz funk band I'm doing tomorrow night, and then on Thursday I'm doing a duo that's classic rock and originals. I have another band that's specifically classic rock that does like a lot of Fillmore stuff. We actually do a Fillmore tribute where we do all the stuff from Hendrix and Cream and, like Santana, of course, Steve Miller and all that stuff. I've got another band that's a Who's Who band called Hang Dynasty. I have websites for all of it. And the Who's Who Hang Dynasty band had members from, Pink Floyd, Jimi Hendrix, the Stu Crosby, Stills Nash, Tonight Show Orchestra. It's like we just had all kinds of people, Edgar Winter, just all kinds of people. And, then I have my band with my wife called the Barflies. That's kind of like, it's kind of jazzy, poppy, mixed with pop. And, we have an upright bass player, a sax player. We do a little.
Dude, that is a great name.
The Barflies.
Oh my gosh, the Barflies. That is, good God.
She hates the name because she doesn't like being associated with that. She wants to be all fancy schmancy, with jewels and gowns. That's not actually a Barflies. But we have a logo that our daughter made for us of a really cool beatnik fly, that's got a cigarette and a martini. So, but yeah, that band we're doing now, that is a thing we're doing in August. We have a lighthouse that's a historic lighthouse right here at Avila Bay, and we always raise money every year to support that lighthouse. And we're in a concert series with that band Barflies out on the point overlooking the Pacific Ocean from the lighthouse.
Wow.
With a bunch of bands that I do.
Wow. Okay. And now to find all this stuff, it's your website's called kennyleelewis.com, correct?
That's my personal website, but that doesn't necessarily have all my links to those I just mentioned. If you want to go to my Instagram page, Kenny Lee Lewis on Instagram, there is a link tree in bio there that has just about all the links to every one of those groups I just mentioned.
Okay. And then also we're going to have that link tree added on to the show on our website. So anybody that needs to look at that there. Now, why don't you let's while we're in the thick of the show here, let's throw out some of these dates that you're going to be playing and where, so that way people can hear it and go check you out.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're talking about with Steve, I'm assuming.
I'm sorry, sir.
Or any gig that you have coming up.
Anything you got coming up.
Last night, I'm in Morro Bay at the Siren, which is actually a national. It's actually a venue now that has national acts. But we're doing a Wednesday there, trying to make that a residency with my band, Mini Nova. We're on Facebook and also Instagram as Mini Nova, Nova. We have the saxophone player that's in the band War. His name is Steve Martin. Steve.
Oh,
sorry, Scott. Scott Martin. I'm here. Scott Martin from the band War, and he sings and plays sax really good. And we have a great drummer and bass player. That's just a 4-piece, and we do a lot of funk and jazz and Latin jazz and stuff. Original, but well, that's tomorrow night in Morro Bay, out here in Central Coast, California. And then same as in Pismo Beach on Thursday, I'm with this guy, Matthias Clark. He's a really good songwriter and performer, and he and I have a duo that we do there on Thursdays. On Friday, I'm going to be at the Vibrato Club in LA, sitting in with a guy named Tony Galla, great singer. He has a great band that he'll be doing the Vibrato Club in Bel Air. That club is owned by Herb Alpert, and probably one of the best clubs in LA. And I'll be sitting in with them later, the second set, probably starting around 9 o'clock. And Bel Air at the Vibrato. And then on Saturday, I've got a private gig I'm doing at the Bacara Resort in Santa Barbara, but you can't come to that, so forget that.
Yeah. So, nobody cares.
Next week, we're doing Ravinia in Chicago with Steve Miller. I don't necessarily have the date right in front of me, but I think it's either Wednesday or Thursday. I think it's Wednesday or something. Maybe Tuesday. And then we're also doing the Summerfest in Milwaukee. That'll be the 24th. So I think is the 22nd. And I think Summerfest is the 24th. And then from there, I'm going up to Montana because I have another band up there called Hucklebear. And rock up in Montana up there with the former bass player of the Steve Miller Band and his sons. They live up there. And we're doing some dates in there, a bunch of different big venues up there and playing rock and roll all the way through 4th of July and continuing into the next week. And then from there, I go fly fishing. And then I come back and more dates with Steve.
Wow.
So that's just the next month,
Well, I'm tired. Geez, and I'm just sitting here, for God's sakes.
Steve Miller, just go to stevemillerband.com and go to tours, and it'll have everything listed there.
Beautiful. All right. And that'll probably be through that link tree also. They can catch that.
Yeah, Lake Tree on my Instagram site.
Okay, cool. So if you didn't catch all that, hey Corey Hall, how you doing, buddy? We are here with Kenny Lee Lewis, the bass guitarist from the Steve Miller Band, but also just an amazing musician all on his own with all, as you heard, the many different bands that he's with. Good Lord.
Whatever.
Yeah, you live on coffee, don't you? Good God.
Well, I just like I said, I was asleep before I got on here, and I had to start backed up. I made breakfast kind of early this morning, and I'm getting to the age now. My blood sugar after I eat, I go to sleep. I don't know why.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For a long time, maybe 5-10 minutes, but so I come back. But
all right, good God, dude. Okay, so now where were we at? What was it? I had something pop in my head when you were talking about something. Okay, you said you were playing with the former bass player from the Steve Miller Band and stuff. Now,
when I started on the Abracadabra album, even though I was a studio bass player at that time, I didn't start playing bass for Steve then. He put me on guitar because if you remember our band demos that he took and transferred, I played guitar on those as well. In fact, when he asked me to join the band, I thought I was doing bass, but I wasn't. He was a guitar player, and I didn't know it till the last minute. In fact, I had agreed to be in the band as a bass player, and I went to the photo session for the album, and then I met this guy, this black guy at the photo shoot. I was going like, "Hey, how you doing? My name's Kenny," because I never met this guy before. I said, "Are you like a percussionist or something?" Because I knew the drummer already, and I knew the keyboard player, and we had the harmonica player, Norton Buffalo. And he goes, "No, buddy, boy, I'm the bass player. My name's Gerald Johnson." Of course, he was the bass player that played on the Joker, and I didn't know him, So I went over to Steve. He was getting his makeup on, and I said, "Steve, what am I playing in this band?" He says, "Oh, guitar." And I went like, "Oh, really?" I said, "I don't even have any equipment. I had like a Yamaha acoustic. I had a Strat. I had a Bassman amp and a wah-wah. I mean, I hardly had any gear to go on the road." And he said, "Don't worry about that. We'll get you everything." And he did. I mean, he bought me tons of gear for that tour.
Oh.
I was his guitar player for 28 years. And then when our bass player broke his ankle at around 2010 in 4 places, we were in the middle of a tour. And so Steve remembered that I played bass. He said, "We're going to have to move over to bass while Billy's healing, and I'll just be the only guitar player." And so we did that for a while. In fact, if you look at Austin City Limits, look at our famous show then in, I think it was 2010 or 11 or something. I can't remember. I played both bass and guitar on that show. And when I was playing guitar, the keyboard player was playing keyboard bass. So it was a pretty interesting show. It was a really good show.
Yeah.
And so eventually, when they heard me playing bass, they just decided that I was going to stay there. I don't know. I mean, and they didn't ever brought Billy back. They brought in another guitar player. I got fired as the guitar player and hired as the player on the same day. It's pretty fun. And so they brought Jacob Peterson, who was a friend of ours from Denmark that had been working the blues circuit with a guy named Curtis Salgado. And they brought him on guitar, and then I've just been on bass ever since. So I was his guitar player for 28 years. Now I've been his bass player for about 14.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And this is going to lead into another question, but I saw your video of you guys at Shoreline Amphitheater. I think it was 2008.
Yep. No, Shoreline would have been probably prior to that. The one that you're looking at 2008 was probably Ravinia, Chicago.
It said Shoreline Amphitheater, so I just saw
guitar solo and Fly Like an Eagle.
Yeah, you are just shredding.
Hear that one,
dude. That was just I watched it like twice. I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome, dude.
Yeah, if you website KennyLeeLewis.com, it comes up right away.
Does it? Okay. I happened to YouTube, and that was the first thing that popped up. I'm like, solo, hello, and it's like surfing. I suck at surfing, but I love watching it all day long. I have friends. I grew up, near Santa Cruz. So I have friends. I have a friend who's a surf photographer, Dave Nelson. And I bought his book. And I just flip through it all the time. And my wife's like, we're in Kansas City. We're nowhere near I said, honey, you can't take the ocean out of me. But those are things that I'm just very passionate about, and watching you guys, dude, you were just so in tune with the guitar on that show, and you were just shredding. And it was so just clean solo. It was so awesome. It was great.
Well, it was a really interesting situation because I was not supposed to solo. We had Joe Satriani who was sitting in, and he had just played a solo.
Right.
Played a solo, and he would just killed it. And I think Steve does this kind of stuff. He has a strange sense of humor. And I think what he wanted to do is kind of throw me into the briar patch. I played lead guitar, and I'd been playing leads on his show for years. And he just thought, well, let's see what you got. Said Satriani, and I had to just invent a solo because I wasn't even really rehearsed or ready to do it. And he just kind of threw it to me like a bone. And I just had to follow Joe Satriani, so I had to do something. It's kind of like when Mick Jagger had to follow James Brown in 1965.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mick had never done those weird gyrations, those weird moves before. And when he was watching James Brown, because James Brown opened for them because they had Satisfaction is a big hit.
Right.
So James Brown opened for them, and he had to follow James Brown.
Wow. Yeah. But
he with all that weird shit because he had to get the attention,
Yeah.
So what happened? We call that baptism by fire.
Yes. Especially
that solo is a result of me just going, okay, this is it. This is your time. I mean, you're on video. The tape is rolling. You got to deliver now. And like I was saying, all those studio days when I was working for full orchestra and you had to be great in one take, all that came to my experience at that moment in time.
Wow, dude. And I mean, now, and that's kind of a standard thing, probably with Steve Miller, right? Where he'd just be like, hey, take it. I mean, does that happen with you a lot, or?
He would just say, I just wanted to give you a bone. I just wanted to have you play,
Yeah.
I think it was something a little more sinister.
Let's see what the kids got.
Then when I delivered, he just went like, Kenny Lee Lewis, there he is, and he just, so it was great. I mean, he gave me the opportunity, there you go.
And dude, and he seems like, just one of these really cool laid back guys that does that kind of stuff. Hey, here, go, and yeah, like you said, dude, Satriani was smoking, but seriously, you like just stepped right in and you took it a whole different direction, a couple different ways. And like you used little chords and stuff. I was like,
that's what I had to do. I had to do everything that Joe Satriani didn't do.
Yeah.
I could have done him too, but I mean, I didn't have a wang bar and I didn't have the super overdrive fuzz tone and all the stuff he was using. I was using a tube amp. I was using a guitar that not only did it not have a tremolo bar, but it had a bone and nut bridge on it that I designed specifically to do acoustic sounds on Steve's show.
Oh, geez. So yeah, you had to, dude. Well, either way, it was amazing, and I mean, it was awesome. So that's
thank you.
I'll stop there. I'm sorry, I'm gushing. But okay. So and now this was leading into my question. What's like one of your most favorite venues that you've played at? Because you played a lot of different. I mean, and you can say like that. Well, for small clubs, it's this. For big stadiums, it's this. Whatever. Because you played them all.
Well, I mean, not all over the world, but I mean, we're all North America. I really like Red Rocks in Boulder, Denver. That's great because I get to go fly fishing after sound check because there's a right at the bottom of the ravine, which is great. I also like the Gorge in George Washington, which is Columbia River, Gorge. That's a really cool venue. I fish there as well because I hike down to the Columbia after sound check. That's fun. As long as there's
I'm seeing a theme here, Steve. You're Kenny.
I'm a fisherman. We didn't go over that, but I mean, I fish all the time when I'm on the road. Also, I like, the Greek is always a howl because it's all and my peers and all the people, and you get to see that's a fun one. I mean, I'm trying to think of all the different ones. Oh, Jones Beach is fun. That's in Long Island. That's a stage that's actually built right on the water. In fact, we just played there last August for the 9/11 first responders benefit that was going on with Hart and John Fogerty and a bunch.
Oh, nice.
We had everybody. That was great. But it was really weird because Hurricane Henry was actually coming in right when we were playing. And
wow.
Water going all the way up to their knees in the audience.
We're not leaving, man.
Playing in the middle of a hurricane. It was nuts. But I love that gig because that's another one that I could fish off the back of the stage. Especially if the tide is coming in. It's pretty nice. Just some of my favorite gigs,
Yeah, hold on a second. I got a solo coming up, but I got something hooked here. Hold on.
Yeah, I mean, the winery up in Saratoga outside of San Jose overlooks the San Francisco Bay from the south. That's really
my hometown.
Yeah, that's really fun.
That's where I grew up.
And we're going to be doing 2 nights again at the St. Michel Winery up in Woodinville, which is Seattle, in August, and that's another fun gig. It looks like a French chalet, and we played there 2 days in a row, and the place is just packed. Everybody just hammered on wine and weed.
Oh, yeah.
It was one of the first states to go legal, and we were playing there right when it went legal. If you want to talk about getting high, you could not get high because of the waft of smoke coming out the audience. Everybody was turning on. It was crazy. But what's interesting is that now that they've legalized it, not as many people are smoking anymore.
Right.
It's not an illegal backroom thing to do anymore. Now it's legal. Like lost its romance,
Right, absolutely.
Pretty fun.
A lot of people lead it.
Legalizing drugs is great because the whole interest, the whole lore that goes around it just kind of evaporates.
Yeah. Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Whatever, man. The man's breaking us down, man.
Yeah, man. You can tell, man, I'm an old hippie, man. I grew up in the Bay Area, man, in Sacramento when I was a kid in the early 60s. It's like I went through all that, the whole Fillmore area. That's the reason why I do a Fillmore tribute, because that was my era. That's what
Yeah.
That's awesome. I actually, we're all basically Bay Area tied. Andy used to live in the East Bay. I lived in the South Bay. In fact, little trivia note for you: Carlos Santana and Greg Raleigh.
Yep, Greg's a good friend.
Yeah. Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I used to work for his brother down in Los Angeles, but his dad and my dad were very good friends. They used to work together and then had their own companies in trucking. And Carlos and Greg used to wash trucks for my dad's company for a while.
Oh my goodness.
In fact, they asked my dad to be their business partner when they were starting Santana.
Wow.
And my dad was like, nah, I don't know nothing about rock and roll. I was like, you are an idiot.
Well, our manager for the Steve Miller Band also still manages Greg. So I know him through that.
Oh, wow.
Does he still have what is it? Storm Studios?
He just has his own thing. He has a new record out right now, a new single. He has a different band. In fact, the drummer that we're using right now was his drummer.
Oh, wow.
Took him out of his band because he has a Santana Abraxas type of a tribute thing that he does. Because of course he sang those first hits for Carlos.
Oh God, that whole album was amazing.
But Ron Wixow was his drummers for many years. And our drummer, Gordy Knudsen, just retired last August. In fact, when we did that gig at that Jones Beach thing, Gordy couldn't make. His wife had fallen and she was showing signs of flu at that time.
Oh, yeah.
Or not. He just couldn't make it. So we ended up hiring Ron. And then Gordy just decided to just retire. So we've had Ron ever since.
Wow. Nice. Okay. So, and then real quick, what is your favorite small venue? Because you were talking about some bigger venues, but everybody has like a certain little small club that they love to either just see music in or hear music or play in. What's yours?
Well, this place I'm playing on Friday, Vibrato in Los Angeles and Bel Air. It's up on Mulholland. It's pretty cool, man. I mean, of all the clubs in LA, I mean, Herb Alpert built it. I mean, it is made for music and it looks good. It's all kind of modern Italian meets Gaudi, Spanish, type of, interior design. And it's just really nice. Great sound, great audience. double layer, they have a balcony and everything. So that's a nice smaller venue. Another one, I'm trying to think that might be a smaller one that I've done with Steve. We did a theater once in Louisville that is just gorgeous. It's got an upper deck to it that has like a little small kind of a little Italian village or some kind of classic town with lights and everything. Has a galaxy with stars and everything while you're playing.
Oh, wow.
It's an old theater. This has all been redone. Now, that's a really great, and I can't remember the name of it. But I mean, those little theaters, there's quite a few of them we do around the country that have been redone like that. I can't remember all the names, unfortunately, but those are really great. Those redone old Art Deco theaters. The Fillmore obviously was great. I mean, we did that, quite a few years ago. And in fact, I have quite a few posters that are in here that are, Fillmore posters from shows. Not so much that it's a great venue in terms of sound and lights, but just the vibe. I mean, you think about everybody that played in there. I mean, including this guy back here, Jimi Hendrix.
Oh yeah,
yeah. One of my idols. So that was one of the great small venues that I've done. If I think of some more, I'll bring them up. Oh, the Iridium in New York. We used to play there with Les Paul. That's underground. It's also kind of gaudy, modern art Italian. When Les was alive, we used to go down there and sit in with him and do 2 shows with him. That was always fun.
Dude, and that's, oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
Everybody in there, but it was just such a great vibe because you're right up on Les. And, here he is, he's 90-something years old, playing all that great shit and funny as hell.
Yeah.
It's like a stand-up comedy act with a great guitar player,
Right.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Wow.
I got to see a couple really good shows at the Arlington Theater in Santa Barbara when I was down there for school, and that was an amazing theater to catch a live music show in. I loved it.
I can see that. All right. Well, hey, listen, Kenny, I don't want to hold you up too long, but we do a little thing at the end of the show that I think I've talked to you a bit about, and it's called this.
Talk about this.
Random questions of insanity.
What do you got there?
My book. I'm a novelist.
Oh yes, God bless it. I knew this is why I make notes sometimes, and these guys give me a hard time about it. Let's talk about your book. I'm sorry.
I'm also a novelist, and I have a book that's on Amazon. If I just showed it to you, it's called Skeleton Dolls, Children of the Tower. And it's a sci-fi book that's kind of like Dan Brown meets Stephen King or something, but it's based on a true story about a pair of identical twin females that I knew. Our old bass player that we talked about earlier, Billy Peterson, he was going with one of them, and I met them. I met their mother. She started telling me stories about them speaking in their own tongues when they were little and all this other telepathic stuff they used to do. And it just made the hair on my arm stand up. So I said, can I make that a novel? And they went like, yeah, just change the name. So I've written about 10 novels, but this was the one that I self-published myself. And it's done very well on its own. I didn't do it with an agent. Right now I'm shopping agents. I have a sequel that I've written for it, which isn't out yet, but I'm shopping that. I'm also shopping another one, which is sort of like a rock and roll biopic with names changed about me and Billy, my old friend, and all the crazy stuff we used to do. And but it involves fishing. So it's kind of a Ernest Hemingway meets 50 Shades of Grey, and I'm trying to shop that right now. So, but if anybody's interested in this book, just go to Amazon.com, look up Skeleton Dolls, Kenny Lee Lewis, Children of the Tower, and you can get it in hard copy and or Kindle. But if you like Stephen King, Dan Brown kind of stuff, I think you'd really love this. I've had great reviews, never had a bad one. And like I said, I self-published it, so I can't get an agent to pay attention because when you self-publish, they don't want to talk to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so all right, we'll put that link in on the website as well.
Album. That's an album that's on CD Baby. You can go on CD Baby and buy this in both streaming and or hard copy. But that's a jazz guitar album. You can see me there all dressed in jazz clothes.
Yeah. Right on. Now is that like an acoustic?
Because I was doing smooth jazz and I was doing like a George Benson kind of thing with this thing. All instrumental, that's a whole other genre that's separate from rock and roll.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. That's just a couple products that are out there. But I mean, I do, like I said, you had to do all the facets. If you're going to be a diamond, you got to have all the facets cut.
Yeah, dude.
Be under a lot of pressure underground in order to become that diamond, and that's what this industry is.
Yeah. Okay. Now, and you said that's kind of like a George Benson kind of jazzy sound.
All instrumental. Yeah, this is all the Peterson brothers played on this. Now the Peterson brothers, I just played with them at that vibrato club I was telling about. This is their new album. It's fantastic. I just played with them at vibrato about 4 months ago, and it's great. It's been doing great on the jazz radio formats, online or whatever. That's just it's called Ricky Peterson and the Peterson brothers. There you go.
Okay.
Great record, and those are all buds of mine. In fact, the brother Paul, who's on this record, he just played the vibrato last Sunday doing a Prince tribute because he was in Purple Rain with the.
Wow.
And of course, he knows all the people in Prince's bands and stuff. So he just did a whole Prince tribute at that club called Vibrato. So these are all my brothers and cohorts that I work with and stuff. So that's some.
Yeah.
Like I said, put that link tree up. Everybody can see all my other sites and all the other bands and video content that's on those. And then my YouTube channel, if you go to Kenny Lee Lewis YouTube, there's just all kinds of content on there. There's lessons, there's interviews, there's all kinds of live performances during COVID that were broadcast right here from this studio here.
Yeah.
So lots of content.
Dude,
Great.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And again, now I'm exhausted and I feel like I've achieved nothing in my life because you're like nonstop, man. This is awesome. Okay, we'll recap the book and all that here before we go. But now again, I want to go back to where we were going before I overstepped you there with.
I'll be quiet.
Insanity.
There it is. Random questions of insanity. It's a little game we like to play towards the end of the show where we ask you a series of questions. There's no right or wrong answer. Your answer is the right one. So are you willing to play?
Absolutely.
I love it. All right. So, and we have two standard questions that we always ask of everybody. Well, one of them we don't because some people are too young to really figure it out. The first one is, what is the best James Bond film?
Thunderball.
Ooh, oh, that one hasn't been called out. We've gotten a lot of Live or Let Die and Moonraker, and then the newer ones. So that's okay. Thunderball, like it. Just curious, who's your favorite James Bond?
Sean Connery.
Of course, that's right. That's right, Trebek. Okay, what is your favorite sandwich? Like, you go to your fridge, anything to make your favorite sandwich is in there. You open it up, there it is. What is your favorite sandwich to make from bread to bread?
Oh, I would probably be. I just had some BLTs this morning for breakfast, so I made BLTs and BLT with either avocado or BLT even with a fried egg in it. So it's like a breakfast BLT. So the smoky, fatty, salty with the toasted bread and the tomato acid and all that stuff. Because I'm a chef too. I'm a cook. I cook all the time. The other choice would probably just be, Italian dry salami with some Manchego Spanish sheep cheese. Lettuce, tomato, mayo, mustard on gluten-free bread.
Now, is there gluten-free bread on the BLT too, or is it just?
Yes. Well, organic. I think this morning I had an organic wheat thin slice. The reason being is that, the GMO wheat products that we get these days just makes my stomach get all kinds of GERD and acid, and I just don't feel good on that. In fact, that's why I took the nap, because I had gluten. I had wheat toast this morning, and it just turns to sugar and it just knocks you out. If that was gluten free this morning, I probably wouldn't have fallen out.
Yeah, no, dude. But oh my gosh, those sandwiches sound delicious.
And amaretto, is glycemic. The glycemic has still got a sugar conversion, but not the same as gluten. I don't know why. Weird.
Yeah, no, and my wife is now a certified nutritionist and all that. So I remember when she first started, she was like, "We're throwing this out. I'm like, "What are you doing? That's fun. We bought that. It's food." And she's like, "Nope, we ain't eating it." And I'm like, "Okay, fine."
We got gluten-free hamburger buns in there right now if I want to make a cheeseburger.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds good.
lactose intolerant with cow cheese, so I use sheep cheese and I use gluten-free buns, and I can eat it. And it feels great. I have no.
Dude, sheep cheese. I know goat cheese. I never sheep cheese.
Same thing. Neither one of them have cow lactose, which is
Right.
great.
Huh. All right. Well, I've learned something new today. Andy, hit us with another one.
So obviously you're very talented with all of the instruments that you play. Is there one instrument that you could just never get and kind of bugs you to this day?
Violin.
Oh, yeah.
Violin. It doesn't have frets, but I do play fretless bass, and I play fretless upright stand-up bass, and I do just fine on that. But the violin, such small, exacting spots of intonation that even though I practice on, I do scales and stuff, I just end up sounding like, like Jack Benny when I play the.
Oh, that is a great reference. Some of our younger audience won't get it, but the rest of our audience will. All right. So let's see. What else do we got? Okay. Would you prefer to be in a pickle or a jam?
A pickle or a jam? Probably a pickle.
Very good. little vinegary kind of mess up there.
It's healthy. Vinegar is actually good for your system. Yes. It's still salty. I like salt. And it's got some garlic in it, some flavor. I mean, like jam is just one-dimensional. It's just sweet, and you might get a hint of fruit. But almost jellies, when you really boil it down, they all pretty much taste the same. They're just super sweet.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But you could have a pickled carrot, a pickled egg, or a pickled pickle, and they all are completely different, but they're all pickled.
Yeah.
Well, being 15 years sober soon, I used to be very pickled, so I get it.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks. Let's see. Okay, Andy, your turn. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Would you rather hear the music of Johann Sebastian Bach played by a barbershop quartet or a heavy metal band?
Barbershop quartet.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, because all the notes, and you can hear all the position, and you can hear clarity of the 4-part invention that he was doing. In fact, my wife just played a hymn at church last Sunday, which was a Bach piece, and it was just lovely.
Oh, wow. Well, I think of guys like Yngwie Malmsteen, who are almost like classical guitarists, but they're heavy metal. It's just this rip where they're just ripping all over the place. So it's like more orchestrated. But I guess, if you're thinking like, Motley Crue, heavy metal and stuff, that would
I've distorted guitars for a lifetime. I don't need that anymore. That's the problem.
I get it. Okay. Let's see. This is one of my favorites. Let's see. Yeah. If you could ride a unicycle, how would it change your life? And would you feel superior to others?
What's the last part of that question?
Would you feel superior to others if you could ride the unicycle?
Superior to others? No, it just means that, that my balance is good. My inner ears are in tune with the, the gravitational pressure of the earth, whatever it makes your balance really good to be able to do that, and your legs and stuff. That's just a physical attribute that's part of being, studied and practicing. I was going to say youthful, but there's also older people that I've seen on unicycles, so you can't really cop to the youth. Yeah. But I wouldn't say that it made me feel superior. It would just make me feel that I put in the 10,000 hours.
Yeah, I made the effort, damn it. I'm riding the unicycle. I got you. No, works for me. All right.
You're just, agile and rehearsed.
Yeah. No, I got you. All right, Andy.
You've got to play with a bunch of musical legends. Is there one person that you haven't played with yet that you still want to play with before you hang the guitar up for good?
Yeah, it's a toss-up between Clapton and Jeff Beck.
Okay.
Ooh, nice. Okay, well, there went my question.
If Terry Kath is still alive, I would have loved to play with Terry Kath, but he's gone.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, you can be anyone for 5 minutes. Who do you choose?
Anyone?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It would probably be an actor. Because they get a lot of attention. I don't know. I need a lot of attention. Cross between Tom Selleck in his heyday, and maybe something like I don't know. Who did I just see recently that was I like that who's that guy? The guy that plays Thor.
Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that guy. He's a pretty good looking guy. I mean, I don't have any latent tendencies, but he might kindle some of that. Who knows?
There you go. All right.
Good personality too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He just seems like a fun dude to hang out with.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew. Let's one more for you.
Okay. Your food is bad at a restaurant. Would you say anything, or would you just sort of grin and bear it?
I would grin and bear it.
Okay.
Very good. All right. Now, my last question is: you have 30 seconds to tell the world something. What is it?
Okay, so just like I was saying earlier, if it doesn't have to be just the music business, but learn all the different facets of the expertise in which you're gifted in. That is your ministry. Your gifts are given to you before you were born, and you need to use those to please the Creator who gave them to you in the first place before you were even here. So just take the best parts of what you do, build upon that, but don't just do one facet. I mean, do all the different facets. Like I mentioned in the music business, learn retail, learn, teaching, learn, invention, learn, sales, learn, teaching, but also performance, and not only just in the studio, but also live. Learn to be an entertainer, learn to give people pleasure from the gifts that you were given as a part of your ministry, because if you don't, you're letting the Creator down. He gave you those things, or she, or whoever it gave it to you in the first place. And you're, kind of hoarding them all if you're not sharing them for your reasonable service. And don't expect a monetary gain for that sharing. That will come with the package, So if you just do that, you'll get everything you need in life.
Dude, that nails
Well
it
said.
right on the head. Oh my gosh. Kenny Lee Lewis. Dude, those were you need to make a plaque for that, dude. That's
my website, so I was just reciting my website.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. Hey, all right. So you're coming up, you're going to be in LA this weekend, you said? I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember all those dates.
I'll be in Vibrato on Friday, sitting with my friend Tony Galla. That'll start about 9:00. And then next week, and then I've got, local gigs here too. I mean, like I said, tomorrow and Thursday, I'm here locally in both Morro Bay and Pismo Beach. You go to my Facebook thing and it has all that advertised. But next week are the two big gigs with Steve, which will be Ravinia, which is that big recording in 2008 you'll see on YouTube. We play there, almost every other year. Great venue in Highland Park in Chicago. And then we'll be at Summerfest in Milwaukee, which of course is huge. That goes on for a week. And that'll be on the 24th.
Wow. All right, dude. Well, listen, man. Yeah. And like you said, you guys go check out his website. It's KennyLeeLewis.com, and we'll have the link tree also, and it's on his Instagram, Kenny Lee Lewis. And you can see all these dates that he's going to be at. Make sure you go check him out, Kenny Lee Lewis. Hey, if you ever get the chance, will you please come back and hang out with us and talk some more about all this? This is great.
Absolutely. I mean, of course, are we talking KC or Oregon? I don't know which one.
Yeah. Well, you and maybe we get your wife to join in too.
Absolutely. She loves it. She's a ham bone. The microphone loves her.
Yeah. Oh, no, we had a blast with her last time. So, all right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Kenny Lee Lewis, thank you so much for hanging out with us, buddy. Really appreciate you. All right. Dude, have a great, great day, buddy. Thank you. Oh, wow. Dude. Well, I didn't time it right. But, oh well.
That's okay.
I got close. I got close.
You missed the poll on that one.
Yeah, I did.
Hey, oh no.
Oh, okay. That was awkward. Ow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, dude. He's just done so damn much, man. That was just amazing.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to fathom all the stuff that when last week when I was asking him, I followed up an email just to ask him some questions and stuff, and he didn't respond. He goes, "Hey man, I'm in between airports. Am I supposed to be on the show today?" I'm like, "Oh no." And now I see why that I feel horrible for bothering him now. It's probably like
Well,
getting him 5 minutes of sleep.
But what a great interview though. He made time for us. We got I as a as a sort of a dad band guitarist for the last 20 years, like and I didn't want to say this during the interview, but he actually, this was in a weird moment where he wasn't part of the band, but Steve Miller Band was my first concert at the Concord Pavilion.
Oh,
they
dude.
headlined, yeah.
Nice.
And so, but then about 15 years later, when I was working for KSAN, The Bone, they played Shoreline at one of our concerts. It wasn't Bone Bash, but it was another show. And so I was backstage, and it was funny because there was a mix up with the amount of rooms that we had to get for everybody in the Steve Miller Band, and we gave them less than we should have. So we had to move people around at the last minute just to make sure, because I think I want to say they were headlining the show. But I was backstage next to a computer uploading photos all night. And it was a cool moment for me to, because it was my first concert ever was watching them in the grass at Concord Pavilion, but then being backstage,
circle thing,
right? Being backstage with them working for a radio station was like, wow, and so that's why I was a little more quiet than usual, because I was just kind of like, you know what, and you were asking all the right questions anyway, but I like to soak in all. I like to soak in all of that information, just because, like I said, as a dad band guitarist, I played in a band for a long time, and I never grew out. Like the biggest show that I ever played for was for 300 people, right?
Yeah.
And just hearing a guy, and someone told me this too, a long time ago in college, is to say, hey man, if you're going to play guitar, like, you got to learn everything, you know, don't just stick to one. And to hear him go back on it and say that, and of course, I mean, this guy's been doing it for years and years and years. It's just, it's so great to listen to this. And like, I want to be that, like, he just seems so, even though he's got so much going on, he just seems so relaxed and so chill about everything. It's,
he's genuine, dude. He's genuine.
Right.
He's one of these guys.
Cool.
He's humble about it. He's genuine. And I mean, he's like, oh yeah, well, I did this. It's like, dude, do you understand what you've done and who you worked with? I mean, you've done amazing work, and it's just huge. But that's what makes guys like this great. And that's what I've said before. There's we get a lot of people who are behind the scenes, or the co-star in a movie or something like that. But these are the people that help develop that whole movie, that whole scene, even if they may be, in the scene just in the movie for half the movie, and then they get killed off. But they're the ones that brought the movie to that point, and they did it, and the way they did it, and they're like, oh yeah, it's what I do. And that's what makes those people great. And that's what I love about this. I love making people that seem totally relatable. And I think that's what this show does with a lot of our guests. And I hope, at least that's what we're doing. And I think, a lot of people like that. And to see people in a real, like, I mean, you see him on stage, you're like, oh wow, he must have all this glamorous life, and he does all this, and I'm sure, he doesn't even want to talk to people and stuff. And I'm sure there's some guys that are like that, but guys like Kenny, he's real. He's, like I said, he's genuine, so and he's not opposed to doing one thing or the other. He's, I'll learn it, and so he steps in, and it's not something he's going to be a master in, but he's learned it, he knows it, and he can do it if he needs to. It's like it was playing guitar, and then they're like, well, now you're the bassist.
Right.
Okay. you
Yeah.
know. So it just goes back and forth. And it's great. And he does it well. Like, I
Yeah.
swear, dude, find that clip of him at Shoreline Amphitheater. I was blown away. Like I said, I'm
Yeah.
like, nah, I gotta listen to that again. Because
Yeah.
I was just
And
like,
I wonder if that's the show that I was backstage on.
I could have been. I'll have to
Yeah.
go
No,
back to it.
I gotta check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, because he just, and like I said, dude, Satriani, I'm not taking anything away from him. He was amazing. He was ripping. He was Joe Satriani.
Yeah.
But then, you know, it's like, and you can just see it's like all of a sudden Kenny's like, okay, it's my turn. And
Yeah.
he takes it in a totally different direction, but then just like, I'm serious. I'm getting like goosebumps because of the way he did it, you know, and he did it so
I think that's
cool.
the shingles, Christian.
Oh, well, no, that's more. If you notice, go back and watch the show. You'll see me.
Right. Yeah.
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 But thanks for reminding me about that and everybody else.
No problem.
All right. So we need to get going. On that note, that's a great way to end the show. Because you know,
We'll do it live.
we just do it live.
That's it.
We'll do it live.
Yeah, okay, Bill. All right, we're doing it
Do it
live.
live.
Okay,
I'll
will you write
and
it?
We'll do it live.
Okay, see, that's all I ask. All right, that's awesome. All right, and yeah, I know, I just love that bit. So again, on that note, there's our exit music, and okay, let's see. So next week, where is he? I got to get my graphics back up here. Oh, good Lord, everything's fading away out of my sight. Where is he? There he is.
Thanks, Ken.
John Austin, TikTok chiropractor. This guy is awesome. He is so fun. If you haven't gone on and looked at him on TikTok yet, go check him out. Subscribe to his page. He gives a lot of great, helpful hints and explains a lot of things as well. He will be on the show next week, and that'll be a blast. At least I hope. In the meantime, it's just us. We will have him on the show. Also, after John, which, by the way, next week is National Go Skate Day, so I thought that was kind of a cool little conjunction there.
Right.
Hurt yourself, you go to the chiropractor and get readjusted. We've got Maggie Mayfield. Maggie Mayfield, who just released a very funny single. She's out touring, doing a bunch of stuff. She's also a voiceover artist.
Cool.
She will be on the show the following week. After that, CJ Vecchio, who is a writer-director of some very scary movies. Some you probably heard of. Then after that, country music musician Donovan Chrisman, great kid. He's up and coming country music star. Then on the 19th, one of my favorites, Bob Smiley is going to be on the show. Comedian Bob Smiley with the Smiley Minute. If you haven't seen that, check him out. Subscribe to his page because every day he does a Smiley Minute, and it's just hilarious. It's a great way to start your day. We want to thank the Advisor and their Facebook page with Colonel James Broaddus, and also our friends the Did Campers, because without them we wouldn't have this music that you're hearing in the background. And Andy, how's Rum and Regrets doing? You got a big show coming up?
We're doing good. Yeah, we're recording tonight. We're going to talk Stranger Things, season 4, group 1. And yeah,
that's
so
strange.
no, we're gonna talk tonight, obviously, and we'll drop that on Friday.
Yeah, buddy. All right. Well, until then, that's right. It's just us, and we're just gonna say I'm trying to mix my board at the same time.
Right.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
Didn't work out as smooth as I thought it would, but
It's okay.
anyway,
It's
for
all right.
everybody out there listening on the podcast, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, review. And if you can, donate. We are also actively looking for sponsors. So remember that. If you want to talk to us, go to therandomchristianshow.com. We will have a link to Kenny's link tree on there as well, so you can find it on the site. And if you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, make sure you like, follow, subscribe on there, and we will keep you up to date with what's going on. We appreciate you being with us. We thank you so much. And be good to each other, kids. Well, we got out there. God bless you. We'll see you next week. Same-ish time, same-ish channel.